Dirty Soda, Spike Lee, Spency Boy, Ice 2. What up, my dudes? What up? It's your boy Spency NC coming back at you again for another episode of Does the New Supercross Game Suck? So let's get into it, boys. But either way, okay, so Supercross 5 is basically, in a nutshell, exactly what I was telling you boys it was going to be before the game ever even came out. So basically like a mixture between Supercross 4 and MXGP 2021. That's basically exactly what it is. So if you've played both of those games, you can pretty much imagine what that would feel like. And that is Supercross 5. Now, one thing I do want to say about this game. This is probably the loosest feeling physics system we have ever gotten in any Supercross game ever before. This has got to be the loosest Supercross game there ever has been. So, that's pretty cool right there. But I feel like it did kind of carry over some of the weird little janky issues of the physics of MXGP 2021. It's very similar to that game, and it feels like they did fix upon those issues a little bit. They did kind of tweak on that a little bit, it seems like. But, you know, it's a very, very loose feeling on the bike. That's like right away, you can notice that right off the bat, boys. Very loose. So, you know, if you're one of those kind of players that likes the more looser feeling on the bike, you don't like that really restrictive kind of feel, this is definitely your game right here. So, at the end of the day, I'm kind of like, I'm in between with it. You know what I mean? I'm in between with Supercross 5, boys. It's like, I feel like they've improved on some things, they've made some things better, but then I feel like other things have kind of went backwards and not as good as I thought they were going to be, you know? So, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I feel like this is just, you know, somewhere in between. I don't know. I mean, it may be like the best Supercross game in certain elements. It may be the worst Supercross game in some other elements of the game. I feel like it's just kind of somewhere in between, boys. You know what I mean? That's really the overall vibe that I get from it. It's not just like, I don't feel like it's bad enough for me to come in here and just demortally shit on every aspect of the game and tell you not to buy it. I don't feel like it's that shitty. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm not going to come in here and super praise the game because I don't feel like it really deserves that either. Okay, so let's dive a little bit deeper into this physics system here, because I think at the end of the day, that's what most of you boys are really interested in, you know, because that's what's going to keep you playing the game or not playing the game. So, yeah, I think this is one of the best Supercross games ever when it comes to specifically your leaning forward and backwards feeling to the game. All right? I think it's one of the best feeling ones that we've ever had with that. But that's not to just say the physics are perfect everywhere. I just wanted to point that out, that the leaning forward and backwards, that like hucking system to the game feels really good in this game. It feels really loose. Feels like you can really pull the bike back on the jump faces. You can really lean forward to get the bike to lean down the landings. You know, there's a lot of leaning forward and backwards potential in the game. And you can tell that Milestone has kind of been trying to, you know, loosen up their physics a little bit with the past few games that they've made. But you can tell they're kind of struggling a little bit with getting their games to feel looser, get more movement to the game, without kind of, without adding in more of a buggy, janky, weird feeling to the physics, you know? That kind of feels like that's been the case for the past couple Milestone games. So you can tell they're making an attempt to try to give you more movement, but in that exact same token, it does kind of feel like it's carried over some weird bugs and animation jankiness and shit like that from like MXGP 2021. There's definitely times where the bike will just spaz out on you in this game for no real apparent reason. Some shit that will happen on the bike where you're kind of like, what is the bike actually doing that it didn't really do on like Supercross 3 or whatever, you know? It'll definitely do that to you a little bit in this game. So that's the biggest thing with the physics is it's a very, very loose feeling on the bike. So you kind of gotta like that kind of feeling to it. And if you're one of those kind of guys that got real attached to like Supercross 2 or something like that, this game's going to feel very, very weird to you because it's like a totally different kind of a movement system. So that's a pretty big deal right there. Now, one thing I do want to say that I wasn't a big fan of here is the fact that it doesn't really feel like you can pop off of the bike coming up short on a jump. Like, no matter how big that jump is, trust me, I overjumped the shit out of some of the jumps on the Daytona track in this game, and you literally will just not pop off of the bike. So it seems as if they've kind of brought back a little bit of that, like, Supercross 1, you know, super casual, never pop off of the bike. You can still crash in this game, definitely, but as far as just popping off from raw, like coming up short on a jump, it's just not really going to happen. I feel like that happened more in like Supercross 2 and 3 than it does in this game right here. And it's really unfortunate because with the more leaning forward and backwards potential in this game, I feel like it would have been so cool if they would have, you know, had that pop-off system to it. Like, let me try to like purposely come up short on some jumps, just kind of show you. There is momentum loss when you come up short, unlike the first Supercross game. You know, with the first Supercross game, you never popped off, and there was no real momentum loss when you come up short. Then Supercross 2 kind of started to add where you could pop off when you come up short. Then Supercross 3 started to add like the momentum loss and the potential to pop off. This game kind of has more of that, like, you don't really pop off when you come up short, but you can still lose momentum when you come up short. So, you know, that's kind of something to keep in mind there. But yeah, just that overall, like that corner right there that I hit, that rhythm where you got to do that triple in right out of the corner, that's got a very, very good feeling to it. Like that, like leaning back on the jump phase, trying to like kind of seat bounce the bike and then lean down to get up over that triple in. That particular aspect of this game is better than any other Supercross game, in my opinion. But that's about one of the only elements of the game that I can say is just straight up like better than any other Supercross game, you know? But with a Supercross game, that's very important to have a leaning forward and backwards, you know, hucking kind of system to it, because that's what you're doing on damn near every single jump in the game. So the fact that that is one of the elements that I feel like is the best with this game, one of the best improvements that they made with the physics, it's one of the best areas of the game they could have made that improvement with. Do you know what I mean? So that's a big thing with the physics. It's basically, in a nutshell, like you mixed MXGP 2021 with Supercross 4. The ground physics do kind of feel like they have a little bit of a, like Supercross 3 kind of feeling to it as well. I don't know if any of you guys kind of noticed that, but I did notice that just a little bit, which is definitely a good thing. But yeah, they've definitely brought over some of those things from MXGP 2021. Like when you first get into this game, there's way more controller vibration, just like you had with MXGP 2021. It does have a little bit of that like rocking back and forth, you know, that was kind of introduced in the MXGP 2020 and 21 days with the physics. That's one thing I'm still not the biggest fan of. I don't think they've got that fully figured out. You know, that when you start trying to steer left or right, the bike will try to automatically like raise itself back up to the upright position constantly. So the bike starts doing this like rocking back and forth. You notice it more on the, you know, the speedway tracks in the game. We'll go to those here. Take a little look at some of those Atlanta speedway tracks in the game. Okay, so this is one of the Atlanta speedway tracks in the game. I don't know what the hell they're doing with the dirt color. I know some people kind of talked about that a little bit. I know some people kind of told me about that before I played the game, like they fucked up the Atlanta Speedway dirt in the game. Yeah, it does have a very bizarre look to it. It's kind of like a little bit too bright, kind of weird looking. Not really sure what the deal is with that. That is one thing about this game. Graphically, I definitely wasn't blown away. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, I definitely feel like I've played other Supercross games that just looked better than this game does. Like Supercross 3, I definitely think looks better in a lot of different ways than this game does. So if you're really expecting like a big graphical advancement or improvement or whatever, this is not really the game for that. I definitely wouldn't say that. Even some of the just like off-track like stadiums and objects and stuff didn't really impress me that much with the visual look of it, but yeah, it's almost like hard to even look at this dirt right here. Not really sure what they were doing with that. They may go in there and update that. I'm not exactly 100% sure, but yeah. So with the physics of the game, let's kind of wrap the physics up a little bit here. I feel like they are better in some ways, the same in some ways, and worse in some ways. So it's just a little bit of a collection of everything, I feel like. But yeah, if they wouldn't have improved that leaning forward and backwards feeling and that overall looseness as much as they have here, then I wouldn't even be talking positively about it really at all. But that is such a crucial, let me see if old Spency Boy can stay on the track. That is such a crucial element to a Supercross game, having that leaning forward and backwards, hucking feeling to the physics. And this game definitely has that. So, you know, the whip system feels really smooth in this game. I'm not going to say it's just the best whips ever. It is very similar to like Supercross like 3 and 4, but it seems like they've refined it a little bit in the sense of it's very smooth. It's kind of the same animation that you've always, well, I say that you've always had, that you got right in that like Supercross 3 and 4 era. But it's just, it feels a lot smoother than it was in those games. So still a very similar whip system, but just smoother. That's kind of what I've been able to gather from it here. Now, you know, talking about these, whoa, see like that right there? Like that's a lot of potential hucking movement forward and backwards out of the bike. So, but yeah, so not as much of a pop-off system. A lot of the tracks, I will say, do kind of seem to be a little bit more on the quote-unquote, like, easier casual side built. You know what I mean? A lot of the tracks just don't really feel like they're that as complex rhythm-wise as some of the previous Supercross games, which is unfortunate because with that more leaning forward and backwards potential, it would have been really cool, like I say, to have had more of a pop-off system, little bit more complex on the jump, you know, rhythms and peaks and scaling. I think if they would have done that, it would have added a lot to the game here, but yeah, so that's what I mean by it's kind of like a good and bad. You know what I mean? It's like a somewhere in between, dog. That's like, okay, I can't even look at this track anymore. God, Milestone, please update these fucking Atlanta dirt tracks. This ain't it, bro. This is hard to even look at right here, dude. All right, so let me just kind of show you guys the overall track content of the game because I think a lot of you guys are interested in that. Yes, we have a very, very big problem with repetitiveness in this game because these were replicating last year all of the residency rounds that we had, right? So you've got 3 Indianapolises all in the same stadium, 3 Houstons all in the same stadium, 2 Salt Lake Cities in the same stadium, 3 Atlantas in the same area. You've got 3 Arlingtons in the same area, so 2 Orlandos in the same area. So instead of having, you know, your normal, like, you know, 13, 14, 15 different stadiums, you've got, like, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 You've got like 6 or 7 different stadiums here. You know what I mean? On all of your official tracks in the game. So that's really unfortunate. Then you also have these like 3 different milestone tracks right here. They're super basic and small jumps. I think these were made more for the futures shit. They kind of feel like Supercross futures tracks in the game. They're very easy beginner level tracks. If you play this game for more than, an hour, you're probably not going to have much fun on these little tracks. There's only 3 of them. So that was a poor attempt at Milestone trying to make up for the lack thereof of different track content on their official tracks. And then you go to the compound, and it does have the one motocross track, which is not that fun or exciting. And then it's got 4 Supercross tracks on it, and that's it. That is all of the track content in the game. Okay? So I really don't think this game is stacking up to like Supercross 3's track content. If you remember that game, it had like 7 of the different, compound little training Supercross tracks on it, whereas this game only has 4. This is kind of more like how Supercross 4's content was, This is not really as much of track content as you would have had in like Supercross 3. So just throwing that out there, you know what I'm saying? Now, one pretty cool thing that this game does have, yes, you are seeing this right, a helmet editor. Yes, Milestone. Yes, I've been wanting this shit forever. So if you go over here to customize, you have a helmet editor. Oh, finally, bro. Shit. This gets me really excited right here. So, full-blown helmet editor. You can come in here and change the color of it. So, let's get it to a little purple perp skirt, dude. Let's get this little purple vibe going here. And another really cool thing is they've got a lot of options here where you can actually change the material of the helmet. Bro, looky there. You can get this glossy metal kind of shine to your helmet. So I thought that was really cool. So you can have basically any color combo of a metallic type helmet in the game now, which is fucking badass. So this is a very, very cool improvement that made to the customization of the game that I don't feel like has been done with the game for a really long time. So, I really had to go in here and point this out right here because this is amazing. And I have to give Milestone props for this right here. But one thing I do want to say is, so let me back out of this a little bit. So you can go in here and you can add layers, you can add stickers, you can do all this kind of stuff. Let me just kind of show you guys a little bit what all the options you have here. So, you could go in here and make your own Monster Energy custom, AP Designs helmet, fully loaded AP. You could come in here and do all that shit. So now this is pretty much giving the community the ability to now go in here and make, custom. So I can throw this on here, get it like turquoise looking, and then you can back out like this. You can change the size of it, right? You can go in here to left bumper and start changing like how much you can see it, you know what I mean? So you can get some cool shit that looks kind of like this right here. You know what I mean? You can do a lot of stuff with this helmet editor. I'm really excited about this for the future of the game because this is going to allow all those people on console to get like Monster Energy helmets, Rockstar helmets, your own personal helmet, Galaxy design helmets, everything. So I'm really fucking thankful that Milestone is finally putting this in here because this is going to allow you to have basically all that custom content that you get on like MX Simulator or Reflex on PC or MX Bikes or whatever. You can now make this in the game. And I've been telling Milestone to do this forever and MX versus ATV to do this forever. Don't know why we've not had this, but finally we have a helmet editor and Milestone does actually give you enough different options to really go in here and make it unique You know what I mean? But with me saying all of that, you know, when you get a helmet editor in an official Supercross game, you would think you would also get a gear editor and a, you know, maybe even a boots editor or goggle editor. But it doesn't seem like there's any of that here. You know what I mean? I can't find that anywhere, Milestone. Where is it, dude? Oh, it's not in the game. That's what it is, right? So if I go in here and try to like go to the gear in the game, you can do that, but you go down here to clothing and it says custom helmet. Then it goes to, you know, suit, boots, neck brace, and butt patch. So there is no, you know, goggle editor, gear editor, boot editor, butt patch editor. There's none of that here. So, damn it, Milestone. You had such a potential here to blow this out of the water and make this amazing. And I don't want to get it twisted. I'm very thankful that you finally added a helmet editor. But god damn it, why didn't you put the gear editor in there? It would have been the exact same thing as this helmet editor. You know, they give you the option to come in here and add whatever you want to add to the helmet. Like, bro, you can do whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? It's a full-blown editor like you would have had in all of those car racing games where you can go in there and edit on the liveries of the actual paint on the car and decals and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And you can do that with the helmets of the game, which is badass and a half, but you can't do it to anything else in the game. Why? I don't know if Milestone is withholding that to make it like pay DLC later. Like you can get a suit editor as paid DLC. If they fucking do that, I'm gonna explode. They better not do that. But nonetheless, they give you a helmet editor finally, but that's the only real editor to customize the gear. And they don't give you a bike skin editor either. So that's another really big thing. They give you a full-blown, fully extensive helmet editor, but you don't have a gear editor. You don't have a bike editor. So let me just kind of show you here. If you go to the bike, shit like this, right? It's just all of your same kind of stuff that you would have had in your previous Milestone Supercross games. So very unfortunate here. Don't see why. It's like, if you can have that full-blown helmet editor, Milestone, then why the fuck did you not make it to where we could do it with the bikes? The bike skins and the gear editor. And so, nonetheless, one really cool thing they did add to this game finally, which should have been in the game it should have been in the very first Supercross game, but they now give you the option to go in here and free roam, aka free ride on any track in the game. So that's pretty kick-ass. Now you don't have to time attack, you don't have to race on it, you can just free ride on it. So that's pretty badass. So glad they finally added that into the game. You know, they had that sort of vibe on like some of the MX versus ATV games where you could do that. So really love the fact that they finally give you that option. It does still have the tough blocks around the track, which is a little bit weird. I thought it wouldn't have had the tough blocks, but nonetheless, you can just go in here and fully free roam on the Supercross track. So you can do like ride the track backwards. This really opens up the doors for the potential things you can do in the game, gameplay wise, which is always a good thing. You know what I mean? It's like, why was this not in here? We're on Supercross 5 and they're just now giving you the option to ride the track backwards. They're just now giving you the option to free roam on the normal Supercross tracks in the game. So it's like, yay, yay, I'm happy, Milestone, but at the exact same time, this really should have been in here a long time ago. Especially with the game that is so lacking in content to begin with. Yeah, this most certainly should have been in here. See that right there? See how I just jumped off of that? That's pretty much your definition of this game doesn't really have a pop-off system to it. That's pretty much the definition of it. Because I just jumped this over-under bridge backwards and landed just about as bad as you possibly could on this jump. And I didn't pop off of the bike. So there's you a good example, prime example right there. It seems as if they've kind of brought back that Supercross 1 casual never pop off of the bike when you come up short on a jump. I don't know why the fuck they did that. I don't know why they brought that sort of easiness back to these games. I don't know. We had finally worked ourselves to the point to where there was a pop-off system like in Supercross 2 and 3, but then they kind of eased back on it a little bit with Supercross 4, and now they've seemed to have totally taken it away with Supercross 5 here. So you're starting to get that overall general gist of it really is like some elements are actually genuinely better and some elements are actually genuinely worse or the same. Do you see what I'm saying there, bros? That's my overall sort of conclusion with the game here. Now, one thing I do want to say is I do actually enjoy the overall, like, the menus and the main menu and the HUD and the UI of the game. I feel like that is pretty damn good in this game for compared to some of the other ones. As far as like being something different but still being in the realm of Supercross, official Supercross game. I like this where it kind of shows this like track map. I kind of like the layout of it, you know what I mean? The compound track map looks funny as shit. Oh, man. What is that, Milestone? I don't know. Looks like a damn MX Simulator custom track right there, dude. But either way, they still got all your options with the, cyclic weather. It's kind of all your same shit, as far as like physics options. It's, bike setup options, all that kind of shit is identical, so don't think you're going to get all this new shit with like bike setup or, different kind of weather options or anything like that. It doesn't really have anything different when it comes to that. So here's the free ride area right here. Yeah, I mean, whew. You can see a little bit of that janky jank shit right there a little bit, It's but it is a very loose, very, very loose physics system. That's what I feel like is saving this game right now. How loose the physics actually feel. I just don't feel like I've ever played another Supercross game that feels this loose. You know what I mean? It feels like you've got more movement in this game than you've ever had before. That's the one thing that I feel like is really, in my own personal opinion, that's the only thing that's really making me, like, potentially recommend this game to certain moto gaming fans. It's just that overall looseness to it. I feel like that's what's really separating this game and making it feel different than any other experience that you've had before in any other Supercross game. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that is certainly a pretty big element to it right here. But as far as like all of your stuff that's been pretty similar in your other Supercross games, it's still similar in this one, like customization options, track editor improvements, all that kind of stuff. Even like the terrain deformation in the game, all that stuff is more of the same than it is like something different. You know what I mean? But let's see if we can find a little bit of a bigger style jump to hit here. Come on, Spency boy. The hills are alive. All right, let's see if we can find a jump. Kind of show these whips a little bit. Shit, I don't know. I don't know if I can find a jump over here. Let's get down to this little Supercross track, bro. But, yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever really been in this position before with the Supercross game where I'm like this torn between it. Like I really like some of the improvements with it, but then some of the other changes, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, Milestone? Like the not being able to pop off the bike when you come up short, the more rocking back and forth to the feeling like you got with MXGP 2021, Just certain things like that. These little, Supercross tracks on the compound, these are nowhere near as good as the Supercross tracks on the compound of Supercross 3. I don't know why they still can't seem to get that figured out, but yeah, we still seem to be in that same boat of, not as interesting when it comes to that. But okay, so I just want to show this track editor real quick. So here's your stadiums, the same exact shit that you've always had. They did not put the, Daytona Tri-Oval Stadium or any kind of different stadium or go outside of the stadium on a custom track or like the Atlanta, Speedway hybrid custom track. You can't do any of that shit. What the fuck, Milestone? You definitely should have had that in this game, especially with how many of those Speedway tracks you have in this game. It would have been the perfect time to add that to your track editor. And this is another one of those things, I swear to God, you come out with paid DLC of this game that adds that into the game, and I'm going to be pissed. But nonetheless, I just wanted to point that out. All the track editor really has to it different is the rhythm section saver and like 3 or 4 new module pieces, and that's it. So, yeah. You got, I think, like one different kind of whoop. It's a little bit more of a roller instead of a whoop. You've got a wall section on the special. I don't remember seeing that before. But other than that, that's about it. You can change the shit to sand. You know what I mean? But there is no other dirt compounds. There's no red clay. There's no... It's like, motherfucker, Milestone. This would have been... I couldn't think of a more perfect game to put red clay, dirt compound, and the bigger speedway-style stadiums for the track editor. Now that you have all of those Atlanta, speedway normal tracks in this game, it would have been the perfect time to do it. It would have been the perfect time to have all that in this game, and they just simply don't have it. So that's complete bullshit right there. Either way you want to twist it, that just simply should have been in the game. Now, I did look at the Steam reviews of this game, and a lot of people are talking about how bad the AI is in the game. I haven't really looked too deep into that, but look how rolled off those jumps are right there. That is one trend I'm kind of noticing, not with every track, but with a lot of the tracks in the game. It looks like they took like what a normal jump rhythm section would have been in Supercross 3 or 4, and they just smoothed it down. I don't know why. Not every single track feels like that, but I would say the majority of them do. They kind of feel like they got that more smoothed out, which is so unfortunate because, like I say, with that more leaning forward and backwards potential, it would have been so fun if this game would have had more complex like rhythm sections and shit like that, but it just really doesn't have that. Like, there might be 1 or 2 of the official tracks in the game that are going to even remotely challenge you like rhythm section wise or anything like that. There's only 1 or 2 of them that I noticed there that even for just like an average player, I just don't think these tracks rhythm sections are going to challenge you that much. So that's really fucking unfortunate. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of pre-made ruts or anything. I thought they were going to have some of that in this game. I haven't really noticed any of that. Not even on the Daytona track either, or the Atlanta tracks. I didn't notice much pre-made, ruts or roughness or anything. They still don't really have any of that. There was one of the tracks in there that I noticed they kind of tried to make like a little bit of a, like where the ruts were kind of dug down in the corner a little bit. But I really only noticed that on like one of the tracks in the game. So I think that's one of the biggest killers of this game is the lack thereof of different official track, dirt, compound, stadiums, shit like that. And with them going in there and smoothing out a lot of the tracks, just kind of unfortunate that they chose to do that in this game. because it's gonna kind of simplify the game a little bit more, and without having that pop-off potential and having the jumps smoother, you know, it does kind of feel like it's probably a little more down that casual vibe than like Supercross 3 was. You know what I mean? So that is a little bit of an unfortunate element to it right there, but okay, so here's the Daytona in the game right here. And as you can see, it's definitely not like blow your socks off graphically or anything like that. You really would have thought they would have had some inside ruts in some of these corners, but yeah, I wasn't all that much impressed with the Daytona on this game. Just kind of so-so, you know what I mean? Felt like it, like Supercross, what was that? Supercross 3 or 4? I don't fucking know. I just feel like there's been better Daytonas made in these Supercross games. Better looking Daytonas, better feeling Daytonas, you know what I mean? Just all the way around. I don't feel like this Daytona in this game is really living up to what you would think a Daytona would be. You know what I mean? It's just not, I don't know. Something about it's just not really living up to that to me. For some reason, it's just not really doing it. But, whoa, Spency boy. Ho, Spency boy. See that right there? Came up short, didn't pop off of the bike. That's one of the probably the biggest jumps you can hit. So, you know what I mean? Rhythm sections here are very, very basic. Borderline boring. Yeah. This Daytona right here is just not really exciting me too much here in this game. So that's what I mean by, like, I think a big killer, big thing that's bringing this game down is just the track content. You know what I mean? That is a massive thing. So either way, boys, be sure and hit all notification bell for the channel. We're going to be making some more videos on Supercross 5. I'll probably try to live stream this a little bit, so make sure you got those all notifications turned on. Make sure you get all those notifications, because YouTube sometimes doesn't like to send them out for the Spency boy, you know what I mean? So, yeah, overall whoop difficulty in the game is not crazy. I mean, as long as you lean back in the whoops, you're not going to crash on them. The whoops are not quite as big as I thought they could have been in the game. You know what I mean? Just that overall, like, jump peak size, whoop peak size, I feel like was just kind of mellowed out in this game. It was kind of smoothed out in this game for no real apparent reason. Not really sure what the design philosophy was around that, but yeah, that's very unfortunate, because I do actually like the improvement to the leaning forward and backwards. I love it. I love the feeling of the leaning forward and backwards in this game. Feels great. But unfortunately, the track designs don't really play into that as much as you think they would. And so kind of creates more of a bizarre, like casual, basic kind of feeling when you're riding around the tracks in the game. There's some tracks that'll have like a triple in here and there that feel okay. But for the most part, I don't think it's going to blow you away on that. So yeah, it kind of comes down to, damn it, like if this game would have just had some better track content, bigger jumps, a gear editor along with a bike skin editor, along with a, you know, Daytona Speedway style stadium in the track editor. You know, if it would have had a couple of these things, it could have been a really good game. But I think some of those other elements are really bringing it down right here. So, but it does kind of seem to me like we're going to get a very, very good Supercross game with like Supercross 6 or 7. That's kind of the overall vibe that I'm getting from it. Kind of feels like we're like working up to that really good Supercross game with like Supercross 6 or 7. So hopefully, you know, by that time, they will have added some of these things that I'm talking about in the game. You just have to imagine they would add the gear editor and the bike graphic editor and the bigger stadiums for the track editor. You know what I mean? You just have to imagine they would add that. I would have thought they would have had that in this game, but it doesn't really seem to be the case. So, Nonetheless, guys, at the end of the day, some things are better, some things are worse, and some things are the exact same. So you kind of got to make that decision for yourself, you know what I mean? I've tried to explain it the best I can in this video, but yeah, at the end of the day, that's my review on it, boys. So yeah, big dogs, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.